Huckabee ran away with it, but the C-SPAN is covering it, and McCain won in that particular place. So you don't see that every single place has a uniform ranking of everybody's placement. If you have 6 candidates, they don't come out in the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in 240 different locations, especially when they're small, where just 10 voters can skew it. It could be a family.
But that did happen with Hillary. That's very suspicious.
In New Hampshire, pretty much with both parties, it was kind of uniform across the state. It was almost like there was just, this is how it's going to be.
And we have that. We have the polls not matching. We have the Obama situation. Bev, what does the Ron Paul campaign, from your studied expertise in this, what do they need to do? What would you do if you were them?
Well, I usually don't get involved in campaigns, I never get involved in campaigns.
But as a private citizen.
What needs to happen next is the Secretary of State of New Hampshire has not released the results. Let's remember that. All we've seen is something released to the media. And so this is another thing where I'm getting to have a problem with how the media releases it and calls the election before the results are even in.
In fact, there was only 16% in for McCain when I was watching. Only 16% in. I was told it was 14 when they started announcing, but I saw it at 16 last night, that he was the winner with only 16% in.
Oh, well, yeah. The thing is, they are, and I believe I told you about the one in Iowa. I can never remember all the people, but I talked to, when I sooner said what to, it gets so busy now, but in Iowa, I talked to the guy from the Republican Party. Now, remember, in Iowa, the Republican Party runs it, not the state, and he said that they had no more than 1,500 votes in out of 200,000 or however many it was. And there was less than 1% of the votes in, and remember, they're running it. And you walked by the TV, and CNN was announcing the winner and said it had 40% in. I think that is just plain creepy.
Well, I agree, Bev. It is very creepy. So again, what should we do about this?
What should we do about it? We don't hold the cards. It's like we're sort of like, I have this video up, and it's got at the end these people sort of peeking through blinds trying to figure out what the heck is going on. We definitely need anybody who voted for Ron Paul and sees that there were no votes reported or the less than what they know there needs to be. We need them to identify the precinct and give some sort of contact information.
They need to go to ronpaulwarroom.com. It's a blog. Anybody can register and post your info, your contact, so we can vet this out, and then we'll call. We'll give it to Bev. She'll call.
Yeah, if it looks like it's a pretty darn interesting thing, then get it to blackboxvoting.org. And they do. Something's changed since we had this big hacking democracy video come out. They actually take my calls now and actually feel like they have to answer my questions. For a long time, they would just feel like, well, we don't have to answer anything. But they kind of do, and so if I call in, generally they will tell me what's going on if there's a discrepancy. And we have a lot of additional legwork that we need. Actually, let me tell you another thing Ron Paul supporters might want to be doing, or any American citizen for any candidate. February 5th is hurtling down the highway at us. Massachusetts has 390 jurisdictions. Connecticut has a couple hundred jurisdictions. All of them are using the same Diebold voting machines, and the same John Silvestro guy is programming them. We need to start putting together, if nothing else, just organizing the information so that we can start knowing, in Massachusetts there's some hand count locations and some machine locations. We need to start getting all this stuff together.
And what you need is, instead of having 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 Ron Paul people screaming, waving signs, that's all fine and dandy. How about leave 100 behind with signs and have 4 or 5 person teams at every place getting exit polls, so you know the names and can instantly report it.
And I can tell you that there's some people in Massachusetts that can help you design or help, they're actually trying to put together something like that but don't have the manpower. And, some statisticians that know how to do this kind of thing. And I think they would probably welcome that. So if folks want to volunteer to do exit polling in Massachusetts and Connecticut on February 5th, and I think that's a great idea, They can email Black Box Voting. I'll route them to the right people because that's been a big topic of many emails.
Well, we've
got to deal with this.
Yeah.
We've just got to deal with it.
Yeah.
We saw it coming down the pike in New Hampshire, and it hit, and it just, we have to do what we can figure out. Again, we don't hold the cards on this because we don't get to make the rules and we don't get to have the information. So we have to figure out what we can do and get out there and just do it. And I will say another thing. We should never underestimate our own common sense. You know, one person can figure out one thing to do, and it's often quite amazing how much to get done with it. So, you know, we don't necessarily need to be a bunch of ants marching in a column. If you see something that makes sense, do it.
And Bev,
grab an oar and row.
Bev, if we have evidence that they are not giving him his votes and they admit they're not doing it and giving us these ridiculous excuses, I think the campaign, you know, Black Box Voting can't do it, Infowars.com can't do it, even though people posted to our site and told you and we got it up.
Right.
You know, we're small organizations. The campaign has got hundreds of thousands of volunteers, 1,500 meetup groups, thousands per meetup group, and it is important for the Paul campaign to get aggressive on this because there's clearly evidence of chicanery in New Hampshire, and I'm telling them right now they need to go to a recount. I mean, this will certainly open things up to some sunshine, and I bet we've only found the very tip of the iceberg, Bev.
Yeah, well, that tends to be the case. I mean, you know, it's just amazing to me how, like, after the 2004 election, our organization is small. We couldn't go everywhere in the United States. We went to Volusia County, Florida, and we went to Cuyahoga County, Ohio. And in Volusia County, Florida, we caught him in the act of rigging the election. And in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, we caught him in the act of rigging the recount. What are the odds? I mean, I don't think we picked the only two places in the United States this is happening. I think it must be something that has unfortunately become kind of prevalent. And
Absolutely.
So that's another thing. For your listeners, you know, get out there and watch and see what you can see. And if it just looks weird, report it because that's where some of the best information comes from, something that just doesn't look right.
Absolutely. Bev Harris, I want to check back in with you tomorrow when we're live 11 to 2 Central.
Absolutely.
I know there's a lot more that's developed, then some even bigger things that are on the verge of breaking. We'll be watching blackboxvoting.org and prisonplanet.com. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you.
All right, folks, I'll cram some calls in here in the last 16, 17 minutes that we've got left at 1-800-259-9231, 1-800-259-9231. But I want to kind of move through your calls fast, so in case anybody's trying to call in, we could have had on the folks that originally reported. Maybe we'll have time tomorrow that they all went and voted and their town said 0. But because of the interest of time, we haven't had them on today. We've got their names, got their numbers. They're now saying they'll come on. We appreciate that. But people from other towns, the ones that are emailing us, calling us, call in if you can get in and tell us your experience quickly at 1-800-259-9231. I don't want people to get discouraged here because they're having to cheat us. They're having to block us. They're having to propagandize. They're getting scared. They know we're waking up to them. People are now talking about the New World Order and the Federal Reserve and the Bilderberg Group and the CFR. And their hit pieces. I mean, this New Republic hit piece says CFR doesn't exist. The Trilateral Commission's insane. Paul's insane. Dumb and not going and reading David Rockefeller's autobiography he wrote 4 years ago where he says he wants to end the U.S. I mean, he says he wants to get rid of the country. We get official text.ttc NAFTA highway maps that say it on there, and when you call up the government about it, they say that doesn't exist as a conspiracy theory when we got it from the counties, from the official maps. Again, the public's learning what a pack of liars they are, and their time is very, very short. So that's the good news here. And I'm telling you, we're the ones reporting it. It's on prisonplanet.com, red-handed. Just, oh, you get 0, Paul, and I guarantee you, all those other counties that are 0, 0, 0, where he's got 300, 500, 1,000, 2,000 votes,